Yeah. Well, let me say this, AQ.
What?
My man, Arab Black TV make a good point
Right.
in the chat. He said, and this is something that slipped my mind. I meant to bring this up. We see a lot of women in these spaces, especially in single by choices, deliberately go for men that's got mad kids. Like if you're a young woman and you're in your 20s, fine, you ain't got no kids or whatever, why would you want to get with a guy that's already got 2 or more baby mamas? Like for real. That's an excellent question. He said 6 kids, but yeah, even 2 or more baby mamas, that's a lot. If she's a young girl and she ain't got no other kids, why would she even get herself caught up in that situation? But to kind of respond to Arab Black, that kind of goes in line with what I was just talking about with those Indian girls. They ain't really been bred to sidestep that type of situation. You know what I'm saying? Or to know that ain't nothing you really need to deal with. Like those girls I was talking about, they never mess with a guy like that.
Right.
You know, considering their situation. And he said something else too. All this stuff is playing out in front of everyone, and what side do women stand on? I mean, it's a lot. A lot of women don't really criticize it. So the brother's got a point.
Right.
Yeah. He's got a good point. It isn't really discussed out in the open by women. I don't see a lot of women openly criticizing it, but why a chick would be getting with a dude like that, you know, doesn't really make any sense. And like they can't.
Oh, if you hear men say it, they say, "Oh, it's not the same when I got kids. Me having kids as a man is not the same as a woman having kids."
Yeah.
And women buy into that same logic. It's not the same when a man has kids as opposed to me having kids.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody buys into that whole thing.
Well, this is the thing though. HQ. It's just not benefit a woman to do that. You know.
So it doesn't benefit a woman to deal with a man who has kids, and it's not beneficial for a man to deal with a woman who has kids.
In this scenario I'm presenting it, I'm not talking about an older woman. You know what I'm saying? But a young white woman, like I described those Indian girls, let's say she's black and she don't have kids, right?
Right.
And she's young and fine. It does not benefit her to get with a guy with 2+ baby mamas. It does not. There's really I can almost guarantee you that situation is gonna go left.
You are fighting against the narrative that the men seem to have, because a lot of men will say, me having kids, it don't matter how many kids I have. I don't. It's different from us men. You can ask a lot of men in the comment section. Why don't it make a difference between a man when a man has a lot of kids as opposed to a woman having a lot of kids? According to them, it don't make a difference.
It is differences there. Yeah, I will admit that, but I still stand on what I'm saying though, and that it don't benefit a young spry tenderoni to get with a guy like that. The brother's right. I agree with Arab Black 100% on that.
Right.
It don't benefit that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is funny. I know what you're saying though.
Thank you, Triple X, for calling up. Thank you for calling up. I wish we had a girl to come up and say why submission is not going to rock with her. She ain't going to rock with submission. But thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Rose. Go ahead, call in. Peace.
So that's a whole nother narrative. All the men continue to say, "Oh, men, a young woman dealing with men with children, it ain't the same. It ain't the same." So he's saying that it's not the same for women to deal with stepmothers. So he's saying it's not no incentive for her to do it either. So it's no incentive for people who have children, male or female. That's what we're saying. But what we had discussed when it came to submission is because women expect things. Women expect loyalty, faithfulness, and all of that. And because a lot of women don't get it out of relationships, she's not going to be submissive. It just is what it is. I don't know how you get past that. Who's doing what? There's no way I'm going to be submissive and you can't be faithful to me. You can't stop seeing other women. She has to have a trustworthy individual, and she has to feel safe. Okay. And once you know characteristics of how she is conducting herself and moving, then you'll know that you could probably get submission from her. But you're not going to get submission from a woman that you are halfway out the door. Because if you're halfway out the door all the time, there's no reason for her to be submissive. Because that means that you're not fully committed to that relationship too. And commitment is what most people are looking for. Most people want. And I get it. You want submission, but you can't just ask for submission and you're not bringing submission to. It's a two-way street. We women don't call it submission, but it's almost like a submission. It's almost like submission too. There's a two-way street. She has to have a certain submission from you. And you have to have a certain submission from her. Tell me, am I wrong or am I right? If you don't prove yourself to be trustworthy, every time I look up, you gone. Every time I look up, your phone is ringing. Every time I look up, you looking at a woman. Every time I look up, you disappearing. Every time I look up, I'm getting cussed out. Every time I look it up, all these things. How do you expect to get submission from me if every time I look up, you're doing those things? You shouldn't expect submission if you can't hold up your part of the bargain. Okay? Or anything he speaks about in regards to being in a relationship with him. He's talking to his flock. And see, there's I hear all the time, a man submits to God. No, that's not how that works in the real world. Yes, there's a submission to God, but there's also a submission in your marriage, in your relationship. She has to have a trustworthy individual, and she has to feel safe. This is why I'm doing this live, because a lot of people don't understand submission. You think submission means I got to be subservient. What was that? What is it? Where is that? Where is that? What the women think? She says, being head of the family does not mean that I obey you, that you treat me like a servant, that only your needs and well-being are taken care of. I'm not a support staff. I don't take care of your needs and then neglect mine. A lot of y'all don't know what submissive means. 2 elements: a trustworthy human being and safety. And a man needs that same component if he's going to be your partner or want to be in that relationship. I have a call again.
Call from
Stephen.
Whom?
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Hello.
Hey, Miss HQ, it's me again. How are you?
Oh, okay, Stephen. Oh, okay. I didn't hear the name. Okay. Right?
Hey.
Good evening. Good evening. I know what the word
survived last
means.
night.
Hold on a minute, Stephen. I know what the word submission
Yeah.
means. Do you know what submission means? You have to know what submission means in order for it to work in a relationship. Not submission to God, not submission to the church. I'm saying submission in a marriage. And I know it's a jerk reflex for men. It's also a jerk reflex for women. This is what I'm saying. It's a jerk reflex for women too, because most of the women out here think slavery, telling me what to do, me having to put you first and neglecting myself, in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant. This is what a lot of women think it means. And this is the way a lot of men present it. So therefore, they're not going to be submissive because they think that way. And that's not what submission is. Men are presenting it to the women wrongly, and the women are running away with a different take of what it is. Okay, Stephen. Hello.
Yeah, my thought on submission is exactly what you just said, but here's an example.
Mm-hmm.
If the man and the woman, the boyfriend, girlfriend, they want to go out somewhere,
mm-hmm.
and they're getting dressed,
mm-hmm.
and the lady says, well, I'm in the mood for jazz music. The guy says, well, I want something more up-tempo than jazz or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I hear there's this guy in town or whatever. He's only here for a week. Let's go check him out. Submission to me means
mm-hmm.
that the lady says, well, since the guy is only here for a week and I somewhat agree with my boyfriend or husband's view on what musical tastes are, I'm going to try it. I'm going to submit this time. Okay, let's go check it out. Let's go check this guy out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. A relationship is like a plane. You have a pilot, you have a co-pilot. Both of them can't be at the controls at the same time, especially when something goes wrong.
Mm.
Both of them can feed off of the information that both of them have to try and solve the problem. But in the end, only one person's got their hand on that stick. So submission does not mean...
So my hand is on the stick.
Your hand is on a stick. You might be more qualified in this situation than me
mm-hmm.
to make the right call that will benefit both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, as a man,
mm-hmm.
I have to submit to your experience and your idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be humble enough and smart enough, and here's where you go back to that trust. The man has got to trust and have faith in the woman that he selected to be his co-pilot will also make good decisions that he can submit to
mm-hmm.
when the time is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has a problem with that whole scenario or that emotion that has to go into that pilot and co-pilot in that situation,
mm-hmm.
then you are flying solo. You should not be looking for a co-pilot until you understand what it's like to be in that small cockpit, because life is a cockpit.
Mm.
Both of you are going to go through the turbulence and go through the sunny skies together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Am I right or wrong?
You're right. You're right. In that context, so why is it that we have women? Why is it such a difficult for women to submit? If it's as simple as you say, and it's as clear cut, and it's just that particular dynamic, and that doesn't seem to be all that awful. Why do we have women saying they don't want it?
Okay. I will say that look at what society puts out. Look at the culture that women almost of any age, look at the music that they listen to and the movies that they watch. And their moms and their older sisters and their grandmoms telling them since they were younger, men ain't crap. Men ain't this, men ain't that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the music. Oh, all the single ladies in the house, raise your hand. Or all the boss bees in the house do this. All the independent women do this. That gave them the platform to think that they're equal to a man,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't necessarily have a problem with. Believe what you want. Do what you want. But you will have to suffer the relationship consequences of that thought.
Okay, so women have been saying this for the longest. You said they have been saying that. And we established, Triple X and I, that there are faults on both sides for this.
Exactly right.
Faults on both sides. And he says when people get into relationships, men are not subject to being, or not, I don't want to say that. I guess I interpreted what he said as men don't want to be faithful, so thus a woman is not going to trust him and submit to him. He doesn't want to be faithful in a relationship. He does these things, and so therefore she doesn't build the trust she's supposed to build. She doesn't build the safety she's supposed to have. And so therefore she's going to rah-rah him all the time because she doesn't have those two things. And so therefore submission is not able to be had.
Okay. So I would say to that, then both of them created that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So by him, everybody is only going to respond to what somebody else does.
Mm-hmm.
None of us can read each other's minds. None of us can look into each other's hearts. None of us can predict the future. I can only go by what I see. Mm-hmm. I can only go by what I experience with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if she has that issue with that man, then she is choosing. She's not a victim. She's a volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
She is choosing to be with that person. Whatever, if it's just a fly-by-night thing or she's trying to make it into a solid relationship, she has to make that decision. But I would say you can't make chicken salad out of chicken you know what.
So my question is this.
Yes.
So my question is this.
Uh-huh.
If women don't feel the need to submit. So no, this is a question I have. I'm sorry, a question I have for you. Do you think women
Yes.
What do you think? How do I put it? How do you think a woman can submit? What do you need to do to make her? What do you think needs to be there for her to submit?
Okay. So based on my experience, you have to build trust. You have to build a history.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, depending on your character of the type of man that you want, that type of man has to show her
mm-hmm.
that for you, that this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
If I say I'm going to do something, if I say I'm going to call you at 7 o'clock, 6:59, I expect you to be somewhere near your phone because mm-hmm. I'm calling you at 7 o'clock. But if I have a history of calling her at 8, 8:30,
mm-hmm.
9 o'clock, even though I said call at 7, why should she believe me? Why should she take me seriously?
Why
so it starts with exactly, because you ain't doing the first step.
Right.
If you say you're going to do something, then you do it. And then that's how anybody, your employer, mm-hmm. your prospective boyfriend or girlfriend,
mm-hmm.
anybody looks at you and says, okay, this is a person that is stable. They're trustworthy. Mm-hmm. If I can't trust you, again, that co-pilot, why
mm-hmm.
should I submit to you?
Right.
Why should I listen to whatever you present to me?
Right.
You ain't in it for the long haul. Your goal is not the same as mine. Your mm-hmm. viewpoint is not the same as mine.
Right. Right. And so that's my whole premise. My premise was if I don't you're not a trustworthy person. If you're not, this is the first thing that has to happen. The trust has to come along with it. If, just for example, if every time we're sort of getting in the relationship, but you notice that I'm not submissive. But every time I look up and you gone, you cheating, you cussing me out, you doing all of this stuff, why would I trust you? And with that trust, there's no submission with that. Then I don't feel safe with you because I'm always up in arms thinking about what you're doing, how you're doing, why, when, what, blah, blah, blah. There is I feel safe. So that's why I said at the beginning, a woman cannot submit if they don't feel safe and if they don't trust somebody enough to keep them safe. Okay? And women these days don't feel that they can trust a man. And according to the men in the history, there's never really been a one woman man. That's that's unnatural to be with just one woman. So if it's unnatural and you're going to do it anyway, why am I submitting to you? Because I'm never going to trust you. I'm never going to trust you with my body. I'm never going to trust you. Maybe that might have something to do with not having all of them orgasms they say women don't have. Why am So why am I not submitting to you? Because of these two factors. I don't trust you. Really, I don't trust you. I want you. I want to be in a relationship with you. I got a kid with you. Blah, blah, woo, woo. But I don't trust you. And you're not a trustworthy person because you do these things. And I don't feel safe. Not really. Not completely. So I'm saying is without those two components, you're not going to get submission. And women keep saying, well, you got to submit to here. That it doesn't work because I'm always, when you walk out the door, I'm always thinking, man, he could be seeing this other woman. He could be doing that. Oh, he late home from dinner. What is he doing? You over there acting up. I can't trust you. That's not that. You will never have submission from a woman. Never, never, never.
And on the other side, most men know, especially now with different shows on the internet and different platforms and things,
right?
That most men, they know they can't hide from it. That women have a roster, so therefore they might be the Tuesday and Wednesday man
because they can't trust. Because I have a roster because I can't trust you. I want you. I want to be in a relationship with you, but you seeing Sally, Joe, and you dealing with Sally, Mary, and Mickey, and so I can't trust you. So I'm gonna have a roster too because I'm not gonna be ass out, and you got 3-4 women over there on the side.
Okay, so
that's
which
why
one
I got a roster?
Does he have his roster first, and trying to talk to somebody, Mary Jo, whatever?
Because you haven't proved yourself to be trustworthy. So therefore, I'm not cutting loose the other men until you prove yourself to be trustworthy.
And let's say the man doesn't have a roster and he's focused on that one woman that he finds attractive and wants to spend time with her or whatever. Now, on his end, if he can't reach her on a Wednesday or a Thursday, he's got to wonder, how committed is she? Does she have a roster? Do I trust her?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Are you asking, am I asking for submission from you, or are you asking for submission from me?
Well, trust has got to come first. So either way, before we get to submission, again, we go back to, I got to trust you in order to submit to you.
What does submission look like from a man?
That's a load. I guess it depends on the man.
What does that look like?
That depends. Because each man is looking for. Each man could be different, looking for different type of things. It depends on the category of the man.
So,
if he has a roster, he doesn't need too much submission because he could say, "Oh, well, hey, I'm hungry. I want to slide by. Can you give me something to eat?" And she's going to say, "Hey, well, I'm not your girl. I'm not submitting to you. I'm not cooking for you. Okay, he'll hang up the phone and he will call other Bonquisha and get somebody who's going to cook for him or bring him food. So then where are we at? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Somebody's got to build first a history of trust, so there can be submission entering into the room. There can be the goggles of, hey, let me trust this person enough to be, number one, be vulnerable. Hey, I need something from you. I'm asking you. And if that person, male or female, says in their mind, well, I don't trust you, I don't submit to you because you've been showing me other stuff, you're not going to get it from me, then that relationship is going to be stalled.
But see, here's the thing.
Never going to grow.
According to Triple X and we were talking about, we don't do the regular traditional relationship song and dance. We don't do the regular traditional song and dance, do we? We jump into a relationship. What is that? We jump into a relationship. We're sexually compatible. Let's jump into a relationship. She get pregnant, blah, blah, blah. And then we end up in a relationship that we didn't want. We really didn't want. We just wanted sex. But now we here with a baby. I don't know you. I ain't stopping from seeing these girls I'm seeing. But I'm pregnant. So you got to stop. Because I want to be in a relationship with you. We finna have a baby. So you need to stop doing what you're doing, but you ain't going to stop doing what you're doing. So therefore, you're not going to get my trust.
See, then again, there again. If there is no history of trust, a baby shouldn't even come into the picture.
Right.
They don't just happen to fall from the sky. No.
and this
two
is the
parties got to do something.
Right.
So,
but it's both of our issues. But it's both of us who are doing it. You're sticking your dick in me, and I'm not using protection, and neither are you. So it's both our faults.
Well, hey, but we have enough rules in the world governing dumb behavior, and a lot of dumb behavior we can't develop rules for. We can't legally make people get the NOR plant at 12 and then keep it until they're 25.
Right.
We can't make people strap on a condom. We can't make people do that.
But see, and then we can't because we don't moderate these behaviors. Certain things are not going to come down the pike. Submission is one of those things that will. I wonder how many men look at that. Do you think that when you get into an argument and your woman is being combative and she's doing all these things and they think that that in any way, shape, or form she's submissive? No. Because something has happened that has broken that trust. Something has happened, and it may not even be something he did. It may be something he never did or he never said. Right? So I'm saying, why not understand where these women are coming from when they say, I can't do the submission thing? Because of this, because of X, Y, and Z. I'm not saying it's all the men's fault. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we both have a part in why submission is not where it's supposed to be. Like other couples that are successful in relationships. Right? I'm not saying submission is an option. Submission is not an option in a relationship, in a marriage, because there's levels of commitment in that marriage, right? There's levels to it that a regular relationship doesn't have. So I'm more inclined to be submissive in that marriage if you prove yourself trustworthy or a trustworthy human being, and I feel safe.
Right, but long before you even got married, long before you even had the thought. Oh yeah.
And I'm saying the women of today are saying you keep saying you're never going to be faithful. Men don't want to be faithful. Men don't want to be consistent like that. They want to have their freedom. They want to do what they want to do, but they want to have sex with me, but they don't want to have a commitment or whatever. But you want submission. You can't have submission unless you prove yourself worthy of that submission. Women are not asking men to be submissive. Men are asking women to be submissive.
Right.
So therefore, you need to do something as a man. You need to do something that brings about my submission. And that means
I agree with that.
Trust and making me feel safe, because a woman is not going to submit until she has those two things. And I don't know how people think it looks, but that's what it is. Safety and trust. A trustworthy human being. Okay? If you think about it.
No, I agree with you.
But what are men doing? What are women doing that a man is not giving you his trust? That's not not a man giving her his trust. A man, no, women, how did I say that? Women, a man giving her a man making her feel as though he's trustworthy. Okay. Opening her legs does not mean she submits. Y'all make that, you mean that's not synonymous. Otherwise prostitution would not be where it's at. Just because she opens her legs and goes to bed with you doesn't mean she submits to you. Let's get that. Let's get that out in the open. That's a different type of submission. You see how we have all of that mixed up? Huh?
Who doesn't understand that?
No, a young man and a young person in the comment section said she won't submit, but we'll open her leg. They're two totally different things. Had nothing to do with each other.
Right.
They have nothing. Lee Turner has nothing to do with each other. I hear that a lot on panels. She open her legs. She keep having these babies though. That means nothing. That has nothing to do with submission. Right?
No, because there's other benefits that she gets out of opening her legs and having a baby that got nothing to do with you. She only needs you for 10 seconds. Right. And then she's done with you. She can get everything that she wants from the world after you and then move on to the next guy. Mm-hmm. So no, I agree with you. We have to do
a lot of building up of trust in our community, a lot of building up of trust on both sides. Trust her not to play with your emotions. Why is she rah, rah, rah with you? Why would a woman be rah, rah, rah with you? And you have to ask yourself. People ask them. Do they ask themselves why? I don't know.
I don't think the state of the culture is now that is even going to be an issue, because it's just about hookup culture. You don't need trust or to be submissive to hook up with somebody. So
and that's what I meant. Where our culture is like that. Our culture has been doing that from time to time. That's all we've been doing is hooking up, and nobody wants to be in the relationships. Why not? Hooking up, you cannot expect submission, period. Okay?
Exactly right.
You cannot expect that. You just deal with what you get from a woman if you don't want to show her that you're trustworthy. And she is going to get what she can get.
Let me just say this.
Right.
And let me just say this. I see Mr. Walker in the chat, shout out to SBC. He said, 10 seconds is bananas. I heard about you in the streets, Mr. Walker. That's all I'm going to say. But no, I agree with a lot of what you said. And it's just like, now that you phrased it to me to where I heard you were talking about the young people, then it is up to, the only way it can change is it's got to revert back to an era in time to where it was more morally acceptable to be a widow with 1 or 2 children than to be never married and have 4 kids by 4 different men. Period.
Right.
There's also what you were saying, how the woman has to see that he is trustworthy so that she would be submissive to him.
Right.
I'm going to give you an example of a situation that I saw. A couple of years ago, I was at a laundromat, and there was this young man. He might have been about, to me, and is 25, along with this woman. She might have been around the same age, and they had like maybe a 3-year-old. He kind of wasn't yelling at her, but being very sharp with her. And he said to her, "Oh, well, what do I got to do to get some respect out of you?" And I looked at him and I held my tongue, only because if I said what I wanted to say, she might feel the repercussions, not me.
Yes.
I wanted to tell him, people who get respect are worthy of respect.
Right.
And other people see that, so they don't have to ask for it.
Right. Right.
Now, why she was with this guy, I don't know. I've never seen them again or anything, but that's why I didn't say anything, because he could have mumbled to me, but when they got home, gotten physical with her.
Right. Right.
Said, "Oh, well, that," you see what I'm saying? So I guess that for me, that ties into the root of this conversation, is that if you want respect, if you want submission on the man standpoint, and I'm a man, and I'm telling you, you got to be worthy of that.
Right.
Even if you're going to be my friend, I'm considered respectable. I can't be hanging out with nug, slapping girls around or having multiple baby daddies or whatever. That looks bad on me. That's how I was raised. So when I walk into a room, it doesn't matter if I have a 3-piece suit on like I did today, or a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. People see that I am different. I walk tall. My mom always told me to hold your head high, look people in the eye, and when you shake their hand, you shake it firm.
Right.
And you say what you mean, and you mean what you say. It doesn't matter if it is a detriment to me. That's why I try very hard not to lie. I cut that out my junior year in high school, because I said, who are these people that I should ever have to lie to? Right. They don't mean nothing to me. Right. My life is going to carry on. So dating-wise, it's like, hey, this is what I would like from you. This is what I'm going to give to you. Let's work this out. If we don't get it, then you not the one that I move on to the next one.
Right.
But I didn't have kids to get locked in that scenario.
Right.
So I've heard many times, "Oh, well, you'd be a great mentor. The school systems would love for me to walk through those halls every day." I raised my kids. I don't have any. I'm not going to do somebody else's job for them. Right. That's not why I'm here. Do your job. Because if you do your job, that affects more people, since you have kids, than I do. Then the values that they learn and how to hold their head high, they can pass that on to their kids and their kids' friends. Right. I don't have that luxury. I can't touch that many people. So that's all I'm saying. I agree with the topic, but somebody has got to stand on.
I don't know how we're gonna get. I don't know how you're gonna get these. I don't know how you're gonna get the young ones to say, "Hey, this is why I'm moving wrong. This is how I'm moving wrong," and then we want to make something move right. But this hookup culture is making it so that nothing is going to go right in relationships. If you just keep doing this hookup culture. I get it. Sex is easy. I get it. Women want to just have sex and she don't want to deal with you. It's a lie. It's a lie. This is the real honest truth from HQ. When women say they just want to have sex with you, it's a lie.
And I believe that. But they don't know how to select proper men. They weren't taught that, and they probably didn't see that. And unfortunately, where they go to get their information, depending on their age, is each other who don't know nothing,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
the wrong platforms to get information.
Right.
Like, how in the world does somebody who's never been married, who's been through multiple relationships, give advice on how to be married, how to stay married? I remember back when I was growing up, this woman, Dr. D'Angelo, she used to write these books on marriage and stuff. And then did some research. She'd been divorced like 3-4 times.
Wow.
The only thing you know is how to crash a car. You don't know how to drive? What are you talking about? Why should I listen to you? I can crash on my own.
Right.
Unless you are discerning enough to say, okay, that person made those mistakes. Let me put that in my book to try not to make those mistakes, which is a credit to you because, like you, when I was younger, I read on different things.
Right. Right.
But that is not popular in the culture. That is
not today.
In the culture.
Not today.
Not today.
It's like, look, you cannot listen to Jimmy Joe, and Jimmy Joe, his woman left him because Jimmy Joe kept cheating, and his woman left him for his best friend. And you can't take that scenario and say that's how all women move or how all men move. That's not how that works, right? You have to have lived experiences, or you have to have people who have lived experiences in order to follow and listen to. You cannot listen to single folks that's single like you. Single men keep single men single too.
Yeah.
Remember that phrase?
There's hoes on both sides.
Right.
But you have to be, especially as a young person, you got to figure out, if I follow this person's advice, where will it lead me? If I follow the opposite end advice, where will it lead me? And try and figure out where you're going to be in the middle.
But see, listen to this one little thing.
Yeah.
Do these people actually know what they want? I don't want no girlfriend. All these hoes out here. I don't want no man. That's all they do is sleep around. Knowing full damn well you want to be married with some kids with one man, and he want a faithful, loyal wife.
And then the only thing you can say to that individual, if they had somebody in their life with some sense, they would tell them, okay, well, when you want to take relationships seriously, when you want to learn about yourself and get to a point where you feel you're ready enough to share yourself for a long-lasting, good relationship, then you come back to me. Because I can't stop you from going out there and hoeing. I can't stop you from being like everybody else, being young and dumb and just thinking spreading your legs has no consequences. That's you're gonna live the consequences of your decisions. None of us have escaped that. None of us, and none ever will.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I made mistakes as a young person too. But I auto-corrected that pretty quick when I said, is this the path I want to go down? Do I want to be this single mother without having a man or having some kind of protection? And I decided that's not what I wanted to do. Although I had my children in rapid succession, 1 and 2. They were 1 and 2. One was not even 1, and I was pregnant again. Right. Just boom, boom, boom. Right. So I had 2 right in a row. And then I figured out when they were 1 and 2, respectfully, okay, no, I don't want to go down this route. So I'm just saying, don't look at it as something that's perfect. No, it's not perfect. The road was not perfect. Nothing was perfect, but it was the best and the happiest road that you could possibly. Ain't no way I'd be out here 40 years old looking at no 20-year-old girl. Ain't no way.
Depends on what you want.
But expecting it to work, expecting her not to want nobody else.
Well, the delusion is with everybody.
expecting her not to want nobody. You understand what I'm saying? I ain't no way.
Yep, for her to be monogamous and just think you're the best thing in her world, unless you somehow get her as a virgin. But even that's going to wear off.
Right. Really quick. You want the best version for you. If you're 40 and she's 20, that's not the best version for you. That's not the longest lasting thing. Don't give me that. Sometimes it works. A very small percentage, it works. But the bulk of us fall into the middle, where the man is 2 or 3 or 4 years older than us, and we make it work. 2, 3, 4 years older than us, within the range. Okay. And so we make it work that way. But this big disparity of age, some of it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the times it doesn't, because most of us fall in the middle.
Yeah. And most of the people who fall in the middle probably won't need shows like this because they've used their discernment and figured it out.
Right.
Now, there are some people in life that they may need only one brick across the head and they get it right. Some people need 5. And some people are in their 60s and still don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But you just got to stay with them. Hey, let them be what they're going to be. As long as they don't get in don't let them be an obstacle in what you trying to do.
No.
You can't tell me what's going to make me happy.
Right.
And I can't tell you what's going to make you happy. My definition of submission is different than yours. Right. Leave me alone. I'm not saying somebody said a 35 to 55. I'm not saying that won't work. I'm saying the bulk of us fall in. That's on the end. That's on another end of the spectrum. Just like young and young is on the end of the spectrum, this disparity is on this end of the spectrum. I'm saying most of us within 5 years of each other. And that's how we get married. Right.
Within being married within 5 or so years of each other, age-wise, that's the norm of what works. I'm not saying 35 and 55 won't work. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, I'm saying it does work. Very small cases, it does work. We all fall in the middle, right? And we want to put the best foot forward so things work. So I'm not out there looking. Yeah. I'm not out there looking for a man when I'm 40 and I'm looking for a man that's 29. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not this. I know that dynamic is not going to work, right? If you're discerning, if you were a person that's actually looking for something long term and you wanted to make it work, I wouldn't be looking for a man that's 10, 11 years younger than me, 12, 15 years younger than me. I just wouldn't. And a man, I'm not stating anything as fact. You're not listening. Leon, you're not listening. So my whole point is that we have to get to the point where we have to get that trust back into relationships. We have to get that trust. Trust you to do what you say you're going to do. She's trusting you. You're trusting her. Stop having babies when you're in situationships.
Yeah.
That just further complicates a relationship. That pulls him into a relationship that he doesn't want to have, maybe. And maybe it's a relationship that you don't want to have. Okay.
And that's why your show should be played in all 7th and 8th grade schools around the country, because you talking sense. Where else they're going to get this kind of sense from?
Right.
I would hate to be, 13, 14 years old now. They don't know nothing.
Right.
And there's no moral direction. Everybody wants to do what makes them happy right now, man and female, right now. What can I get right now?
Right.
Okay. Well, you'll find out where that leads you.
I'm just saying there's a road. There's roads that you may not necessarily be ecstatically happy on, but those roads lead to congruency, or it leads to contentment in life or happiness in life. If I'm dealing with a person that has drama all the time, my car broke down, I need money, I can't pay for that, I can't I'm over here drunk, come pick me up, blah blah, then you shouldn't expect to have any kind of harmony in your world. Oh, he always cheat. I got this girl. I got that girl. I got 5 girls. I got a roster. Then you shouldn't expect to have any kind of harmony in your world. You doing unharmonious things. And I'm not saying it's not fun to do those things. But you also have to keep your eye on what you actually want. Do you want a woman that is submissive in this relationship? Have you expressed to her what submission means to you? Or have you got a talking point and then that you think that whole talking point of submission applies to all women? That one talking point doesn't necessarily apply to all women. So it has to be adjusted. The first thing you have to understand that submission requires trust and her feeling safe. If you want submission from her, do what you need to do to instill that trust. If you don't do what it takes to instill trust, I'm not saying be a simp. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is instilling trust. Then you can't ask for submission because it's never going to come. Women think they give you submission, but they don't, because otherwise they would not be doing the rah, rah, rah. And a lot of you guys say women do rah, rah, rah all the time. That means she doesn't trust you. I hate to break that to you, but that's what that means. When she bucking up to you, ready to fight you like a man, talking crazy to you, not doing what you say, not respecting you, that means she ain't giving you submission. That means she don't trust you. And if she don't trust you, she's not going to give you submission.
In a long-term commitment situation.
Right.
And an easy way to test that is, A, ask her or think about the person, him or her. Mm-hmm. Would that person be more ready to give you oral sex than to give you a sandwich at 11:30 at night? Which one would they do? And that is, whatever the answer is, that is the person that you're dealing with. Act accordingly.
Right.
All righty, girl. I have been on. I don't know how to do this. You got me on the phone. I done missed my whole Miami game. I got to get ready for this Bills game. I'm going to let somebody else call in. Y'all keep doing what you're doing. I see y'all in the chat. Call on up.
Thank you.
Say what y'all got to say. Mm-hmm. Hey, I appreciate you. Keep cooking. You. Shout out to all y'all. I am gone.
Thank you. All right, guys. All right. We had a decent topic on submission. She has to have trust, and you have to be a trustworthy individual. And she has to be safe. That's how submission works. The women these days say you men are not giving that. You men are not trustworthy. Because the way you speak about submission is not how I see it in my head. Women sleep with men that they don't trust every day of the week and twice on Sundays. I don't know why y'all think because she pulls her clothes off that she trusts you. There's some men that I wouldn't trust to go to the store with me, but he hot as hell. And my whole point is, if you want submission, you have to have trust and you have to be a trustworthy human being. Dipping out, sleeping with other women, doing this, doing that. A lot of people are in relationships and they slipping out the back door, seeing Sammy, seeing Mary, seeing Sue, and then coming over here thinking I'm going to be submissive to you. When I know you over there seeing Sally, Sammy, and Sue. No, I'm bucking up to you. I'm swinging on you. I'm calling you a no shit nigga. I'm doing all of these things because I don't trust you. Because you haven't instilled trust. So if you know that you're not instilling trust in a woman, don't look at me crazy and say, why am I bucking up to you? Why am I rah, rah, rah to you? Why am I being a hyena to you if you're not instilling trust? If you're not giving me trust? If you're not standing on your word? You're not standing on what you say? You're not doing the right things? Don't ask for submission if you're not willing to do your part to generate that submission. No, it's not just Pookie, it's regular men too. Because a lot of you men say, I don't have to be faithful because they weren't faithful before. That's not man's natural habitat. That's not man's natural state to be faithful. So why she expect me to be faithful? Then don't expect to have submission if you don't know what it takes. For a woman to be submissive, she has to trust you. Trust is related to sexual discipline. You don't have sexual discipline, I don't trust you. And that's how it goes. That's why women are having a problem with this submission piece. And that's our lecture for today, guys, or our call-ins for today. We don't have any more calls. And we're going to end it here, but we will have. Please like and subscribe, guys. Please. And share if you can. Please, please, please do that. And I will see you tomorrow for Why Do Men Think Cheating is Okay? I definitely want to hear from some guys. Why do you think it's okay? You get the results you get if you think cheating is okay. Right? You should get the results. Thank you, Mr. Walker, for the Cash App. Thank you. $5. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Please like and share. See you guys tomorrow.